What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Civilization 5 National Ideas AI only battle. It's getting exciting. We've got I think about 12 civs left, and I think they're all pretty good. They've all got a chance of making the top 10. I don't know why that sounded weird, didn't it? All the words merged into one. They have a chance of getting in the top 10, as France does recapture 2 cities. But I don't think... Yeah, there you go. They actually didn't lose Amsterdam again, somehow. But they did lose Brussels, which is worse. So, there you go. Austria continuing their push. And for France, it is not looking good. And for some civ, who I said maybe is just outside of the top 10, 11th, 12th place, it's great news, because they might soon have a chance to overtake France on the scores. But we'll see. It does help that France have been alive for so long. There are some info addict statistics that are based on the whole game, not on the specific moment. For example, technologies. I don't know if France is doing that well in technologies, but that's an example one. So obviously it does. You do ideally want France to die if you're one of those civs. But they get Poland. I didn't even know they were at war with the Netherlands. But there you go. They left them alone, which is, imagine how scary that is for the Netherlands. And then they're just riflemen and a cannon and some Gatling guns, and then you've got Poland over here, just the most advanced and largest military in the world, which is getting bigger every time we look back. There used to be just like circles around all the cities. Now some of them are 2-3 rows sort of deep. So we'll see. Austria definitely does need to really put the foot down and get this done as quickly and cleanly as possible if they want to have a chance. I know some people definitely rooting for Austria. France v the Garamantes. I mean, it doesn't matter. I don't know why France declares that, but it's probably not a good idea. But there you go. France now has Amsterdam and Brussels, and is close to taking Grenoble, which will leave them very close to Paris. Sweden v Portugal. Okay, you know what? Fair enough. I mean, if they use their planes, they could grab this city here fairly easily. Okay, this is big. This is not big unless there's open borders. Spain v the Garamantes. Obviously, Spain has a mega navy in the Mediterranean, but if they don't get open borders with the Papal State, that is not really worth anything. But Assyria will also be in that war, but again, they will need open borders with Egypt, and they don't have that many boats here anyway. So it should be okay for now, Garamantes. Don't panic. But yeah, as soon as the Papal States are convinced and give Spain open borders, you could be in a bit of trouble. They do actually manage to peace out with Poland, which is, I guess, good news. You know, proves the situation ever so slightly. Poland's moved some of those nukes around. There's still 4 in Corinth here, but the other 2 have disappeared completely. Did you delete them? There was 6, right? Maybe there was 6. Did they nuke the Garamantes while I wasn't looking, and then it's just been cleared up? I don't think so. I mean, it's plausible, but I don't believe they have. So maybe there was only 4 and I miscounted. I'm pretty sure there was 6 though. They have some. Oh, it could be in Iceland. Be a random place to have one, but no. I don't see any aircraft carriers. They have no planes. This is the one good thing. They don't have much oil, so they are limited on planes. Yeah, I don't see any carriers or any other. They must just have got rid of them, or maybe I miscounted last time. Regardless, Austria here. I should grab the city of Grenoble. I'm just pronouncing it like Chernobyl. I have no idea if that's right. It could be Grenoble or any other way you pronounce that city. But there you go. It does fall. And Hanover of Portugal did fall to Sweden. So they're just slowly kicking out the non-native Scandinavian civs. And could probably peace out now if they wanted to. I'm sure Portugal won't let them. And there's a time. You can't peace out straight away. But eventually I'm sure they will get a peace deal, which is good for them and what they want. But yeah, we'll go back to focusing on Austria versus France. And obviously Spain in the south. I'm really hoping... The worst thing is Austria are not using ideal units for this either. They have no planes, they have no artillery. They have 1 artillery sort of pushing in, 2 across the whole front line. They're mainly just ramming land units into these cities, or melee units, I should say, into these cities, which is all Spain have been doing, and Spain have had 0 success. So Spain won't be impressed with this. But yeah, Austria adding 3 more cities, the 4 cities already. And again, just even relatively improving their ranking by weakening France, who was probably a bit of a threat. Maybe not. London is now very close to dropping too. Right, Spain's doing nothing, so I'm going to bring it up this way a bit so we can see Ireland. As you can see, London takes a bit of a siege. Paris has a little bit of damage. That first time Paris has really been under threat. This could be very, very rough for France. And for Spain, to be honest. If Spain don't get anything, that is rough. They've thrown a lot at this pretty unsuccessfully. But Austria, of course, they need to be careful. Okay, yes, now they could die at any minute. Like, it could happen. It would be a hell of a battle, but it could happen at any moment, and the game will probably crash when it does. Austria does have that one nuke, bit of a defense mechanism. It doesn't help that Poland has 4, and obviously 1 here. Well, I guess Klagenfurt is probably safe unless Poland wants to fight the Italian nations as well, because a nuke here would hit all of them. But Bregenz, I mean, again, Papal State might get hit with that, but certainly Vienna you could hit with a couple, and that would hit a lot of these units. And again, maybe one in Berlin could do a lot of damage. But here we go, another turn. Some nail-biting moments for anyone hoping France just scrapes through to the top 10, as they have their turn, and now it is the Austrians' turn. Here we go. Are they gonna get London? Well, they do get London. They did a little bit of damage to Paris, but yeah, that's a big one. They take London away. That also is bad news. Scotland probably would have been a good time if they were thinking about joining in. It could have been worth it, but now it's going to be a lot harder. I mean, they could still do it, but much harder to do with Austria taking London away. It is not looking good. France now down to 9 cities, which is still not that bad, but they're certainly not as good as they were. Morocco's turn. How did Spain? They have not negotiated open borders yet, so they're just happy. They just wanted to declare a war for the sake of it. Egypt is pushing through in the North African coast towards another Garamantes city, so there's a chance they maybe grab that, but not too much so far. Portugal's turn. They are, of course, trying to get Porto back from Morocco, but it looks like we're more... by the look of it, it could be fair to say that Lisbon is the next city on the chopping block, not Porto going back to Portugal now. I wouldn't be surprised if Morocco maybe starts to win this one. Portugal were one of the lower performing civs in those info addicts. I said that the Netherlands were the only one in the top 10. I may have actually missed Portugal. I said that there was maybe one other civ. Maybe Portugal were never top 10. I feel like they must have been at least once, but someone else will remember. But you know, 4 cities. They have one in Iceland, but that's it now. They're not looking too great. Morocco themselves aren't the best in the world, and they're certainly making some progress here. Portugal started out with like more boats as well, so it's really flipped on its head. This is a marvel. It sucks that they can't use this against France. If I was Spain, I'd probably have pieced out with France ages ago. I'm sure they could beat the Papal State. Look, they're just exposed. Very empty. Their territory. Milan has more units in like Papal State borders than the Papal State do, which is impressive. Okay, Paris is now getting lower and lower. Probably a couple more turns and we could see it drop, and then I think you'll start to see just the complete collapse. Like, it will just be a free-for-all at that point to grab as many cities as they can. Could be very soon. You see so much pillage tiles. No nukes used yet. Austria still retains their 1 nuke. They are trading with Poland, or Poland is trading with them. So that's at least a deterrent for Poland, I should say, to declare that war. And there we go. Egypt do push into the city of Zenekra. Another loss to the Garamantes, which will, again, every little city that falls is influencing that leaderboard. Who's going to be top 10 at turn 350? Avignon there does fall to France as well. Or goes back to France in Southern Ireland. Of Austria went again. Yeah, they did not take Paris. They actually go in that order. They go France, Austria, Spain, pretty much. There might be one other civ in the queue, but that's the order between the 3. So France gets to defend themselves a bit first, and then they have to sit and suffer as Austria and Spain pick off any of their moves that they've just made, which is obviously not particularly fun. The only real benefit, I guess, is that in that first turn, France could have, normally in a war, could like defend themselves. You know, Austria attacks you and pushes in. Actually, no, that's not really how it works either. No, there's no real benefits, is it? Order, based on whether you go. It's better to obviously declare the war than be declared on, but that works both ways. So no, there's no real benefit to the order of turns. Since it's been declared, they've all had the same amount of turns. There's no like extra bonus to it as such. Maybe if you do like the math, you could work out if I declare on this turn and peace out on a certain turn, you get one extra turn, but that's about it, right? But yeah, it just is better to declare than if you think. Well, if you know you're going to win, it's better to attack first. You know, have that first turn, strike first. It is better, I would say. And there you go, Austria closing in on Paris. There's less and less French units in all those tiles in between. The city of Tours, in the east here as well, is also at least surrounded. It's not under siege just yet. Portugal and Sweden do peace out, which makes sense. I think Sweden just killed all the units they sent over this way pretty comfortably with their navy. So there you go, Sweden's looking good. I think Spain could be next, but the problem is the AI just reads numbers. I think the AI will just, I don't know how, you know, how much they read the context of the game compared to the numbers. I think the numbers, they would never declare war, because this navy on its own could probably beat Sweden if all their cities were coastal, for example, and accessible. But that's the point, right? Will Sweden think, oh, it's just 2 empty cities, or will they think it's the 3rd biggest military in the world? It depends how the AI works. I don't know. I'm guessing it's sort of a mix of both. Probably favouring from experience, probably favouring the overall number. That is one of the advantages humans get, I guess, over the AI. Like, if I was Sweden, if I was playing as Sweden, I'd probably feel fairly comfortable to try and grab all these Spanish cities, and then peace out. I don't think the AI will feel the same way, just because this exists. But there we go, the big moment. Paris falling to Austria, and the fall of France seeming more and more inevitable. Lyon is finally, Spain start to do some sieging. Finally they knock it into the yellow. They also re-grab Avignon. But yeah, Tours here is now cut off. That should probably fall now to Austria as well. We could see Orleans go in a few turns. Spain could get Lyon, and then then it's just a race for the rest of these cities around the channel. Morocco declares war on France. Not too, they can't really do anything there, really, Morocco. Morocco also pieces out with Milan and Scotland, which again, I mean, just probably weren't fighting each other too much. Just means any odd units can sort of walk around the map and feel a bit safer now, as Portugal completes the Manhattan Project, and the Papal State joins the war against France, but they are further away. They cannot even, they can't get involved. Garamantes retake Zinekra. I don't know how Egypt is doing so badly here. They have so many units. I know they're sort of nervous. That makes sense. When will they do anything? We now have 2 sleeping giants. Poland has not been in any sort of actual conflict for a very long time now. Probably getting towards 60. Was it around turn 250? I think they went back for a second bite and just took this city off the Garamantes. It's been a very long time since Poland did that much. Assyria's now probably on a bit of a 20-turn-ish hiatus since they pieced out with Byzantium and Egypt. I think it was Byzantium second that they pieced out with. Oh no, but then they maybe they went after Egypt afterwards. Whoever it was, it's been a while since Assyria's been at war. Byzantium is really stacked up with units, though. I would not want to fight this. That is, every single land tile has a unit in it. Almost every coastal. They're only about 7 short. If they build a few more boats, which at this point in the game, as I sort of said, I think a few episodes ago, they're probably churning out a boat in 3 turns, potentially 3-4 turns. So it's not going to take that long. Sweden versus France. Again, a bit too late on that one, Sweden, but sort of shows that the world is now, it just makes it harder for France. It just means less trade routes, which they were probably struggling to not get pillaged anyway. But yeah, it just makes life so much more difficult for France. More and more civs declaring war, less trade for resources, all those sorts of things is going to hurt France. So yeah, and okay, we have a ways. Not what I was expecting it to be Assyria v Byzantium. It is Milan, who can't really get there, so not too much. It's sometimes interesting though, just to see who's friends with who. Obviously that plays a part. But Egypt versus Byzantium is, I mean, we saw Egypt sort of mess it up completely. Byzantium actually have the stuff. I mean, if they start just getting a bit curious with some of their boats. I know, oh, Egypt has some planes though, that could be a bit tough. But yeah, I mean, if they start pushing some of those boats out and put the artillery on the coast, they could maybe cause some trouble. Yeah, look at it, they're going to go for it. I like that. The only risk is obviously if they lose a lot, and then yeah, Poland and Assyria might just bite. You got a feel for Byzantium. They're probably in the hardest position right now. Outside, I'm excluding the Netherlands. You know, I think. Okay, I don't think I could save every civ in this game. If I hopped in, it's deity difficulty, I would probably mess everything up. I want to make that very clear. But I feel like you're the right idea. You know, a player could probably save and still do very well with any of these countries. If this was a scenario that started right now, Scotland would maybe be a bit of a challenge. But, you know, you could slowly, you know, if you were careful and strategic, I'm sure you could beat Spain and then sort of do the reverse Sweden strategy and then go after Sweden. The Netherlands, obviously, probably unsavable. I mean, if you're a god, go on, you can do it. But I couldn't imagine like how you'd even do that. And it looks like Poland is going to soon break the game, which is great. We won't be able to look at them, but we'll just remember they're there in the corner, looking over ominously. Yeah, I reckon you could save a lot of them. Some of them are in worse spots than the others, like Garamantes. I think if you could just sort of sort out some peace deals, probably be fine. And that is interesting, Austria piecing out with France. That's very annoying, actually. Leaves his city. Well, they still did very well. They took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cities, including Paris, London, Amsterdam, 3 capitals, 4 capitals with Brussels, actually. So I think, yeah, the AI obviously thinking about a domination victory. Austria just pulled the biggest move of all time, right? They just took 4 capitals. They probably 20. There's only 13. Well, no, it depends on the starting civs. They probably just moved within, feels like 20 civs to start with. They just moved within like 20% closer to the domination victory, theoretically. None of these other French cities are capitals. It would be amazing. Could you imagine if Austria actually did that? They went and just grabbed every capital strategically, like they did the minimum amount of moves just to take the capitals of every civ, and then obviously all they would have to do then is like in this center point just absolutely break through and get to Krakow. Now sadly a share would probably be even harder to get to than Krakow. If you threw everything at it, you could probably get this at least once. You'd probably get pulverized afterwards, but you could, you know, if you strategically planned it, you could probably get to Krakow once and maybe twice before it all unravels. It's kind of what happens in my Earth 2014 games towards the end. I just we always have a big goal, and then, like, you know, I throw everything at it. I think I did it in my France game recently. It was like, get to Moscow, and I got in there with like the last unit I had, and we just took it away, and then I was like, yeah, that's the end, we've done now. If I'd have kept playing, we probably would have got completely wiped off the map. But there you go, it happens. Austria has now entered the information era. That took them a while. They're on the same text as Assyria, I thought. Maybe not. Maybe there was first, second, and then a tie at third. But there you go. They're there. Morocco, Byzantium. No, that doesn't matter. How is Byzantium getting on against Egypt? They've put this city under some pressure. Ah, there it is. There it is. The sleeping giant no more. I don't really want to look at this because it might actually crash. I'm going to sort of zoom back a bit. These are 2 of the most unit populated civs per tile in the map. But there you go, Poland versus Byzantium. Not what you want if you're Byzantium, or Assyria really, because you probably want a bit of Byzantium, and also it could lead to a border with Poland, which is not ideal. But there we go, that is it for this episode. So as always, if you have enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and a comment down below. We have some new exciting developments in the east for the next one. So yeah, if you have enjoyed, be sure to leave a like. Be sure to leave a comment with some feedback if you've got anything good or bad to say about the video, or any ideas, things you'd like to maybe see coming up. All is appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one.